Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Mike, and this is Thursday Morning Live. Welcome to the show. Glad that you are here today, and I am expecting big things from today's guests, that's for sure. Anyhow, if you're new to the show, thanks for being here this morning. Would love for you to grab a cup of coffee, sit back, buckle up, as some friends of mine would typically say, and I can't take credit for that comment anymore. And we are going to explore some markets. We're going to explore Chicago a little bit. My guest today is from Chicago. I'm going to be joined this morning by Slav Polinsky from At Properties from Downers Grove. He's been in the business for about 9 years, so I'm sure that he's going to have a lot to say. What's really interesting is we got connected by a friend of mine and a good friend of his, Keith Hoffman, who I had on the show a couple of weeks ago. So it's really interesting. And I always say, hey, if you know somebody who would be a great guest on this Thursday Morning Live, somebody from Chicago who has some great insight in being an entrepreneur, not necessarily even in the real estate business or the mortgage space, but just somebody who can talk about Chicago, can talk about being an entrepreneur, I'd love to interview him and have him on. If you want to make a comment, if you want to ask a question, feel free to use the comment box. We'll bring those questions up as soon as we can, and we'll look forward to getting started here in a minute. As I start every show, what are your intentions? What are you working on? What are you being specific about? You know, it's really important. We get up, we set the pace for the day, either the night before or in the morning, set those intentions for ourselves. That's what's going to help us be a little bit more productive than we were yesterday. You know, if we just make 1% change every day, that's 365% change throughout the year, and it helps us get better, right? So what are you trying to change in your life? Which direction are you trying to go in? So think that through this morning. This show is brought to you by My Core Intentions. And remember that August 18th is the Property Management Boot Camp. It's a full-day virtual event. You can register for that event by going to my website, mycoreintentions.com, or the link is in the bio on my LinkedIn bio. Remember that you can follow us on social media, like us, love us. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit that smash button and subscribe to the channel. And we're always bringing relevant content. So let me bring our guest in this morning. Slav, how you doing?
I'm doing great this morning, Mike. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Hey, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're busy, and we can all get kind of busy, but I appreciate you being here this morning. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, we already got a listener, Dr. Glauc from Bolingbrook, saying hi to you. So that's cool.
Good morning.
Hey, Slav, listen, I start my show, every show I start, I always ask the same question. And if you would tell me in one word, what best describes you personally and professionally?
Well, I truly believe in building relationships, whether it's with friends, family, or with my clients. I think that is the core to any business. And with real estate, I know that buying and selling a home is probably one of the biggest financial decisions most people make, and I treat it with that importance.
Yeah, that's awesome. So building relationships, and that's what I love to do too, is build relationships. And that's one of the reasons I do this show, is because I love to have great guests on. I love to have people on that can bring some value, bring some content, and I know that you're going to be able to do that. Why don't you talk a little bit about your background and what you, how you got into this crazy world? I always say crazy world of real estate, right?
Sure. I'd be happy to. So with my name, you probably guessed, I was born in Poland. My family and I came to the States when I was about 2 years old. Fast forward, married when I was 19, 40 years ago, to my beautiful wife that I met up in Wisconsin. I went to work at UPS back then. I started on the docks. I worked up my way to supervision. I was a delivery driver for 10 years, and then I drove semis for about 15 years. wear and tear started coming up on my body. And next thing you know, I had one spinal surgery after another. And matter of a few years, I had 3 spinal surgeries. And that was kind of the writing on the wall that I had to choose a different profession. While I was going through physical therapy pretty much every day for a few years, I started looking into things like internet marketing. I was going to boot camps, seminars, hiring coaches like you to kind of give me kind of a fast track to learning things that I did not know. And during the time, my wife had a virtual assistant business, and one of her clients was a top producing real estate agent in Downers Grove. So what I started doing, using what I have learned and helping her with her internet marketing. And that's how I became introduced to real estate. Okay. And once I started feeling stronger, I decided to give this whole real estate business a try. And it's been, I've been very fortunate. It's been very good to me.
You know, it's funny, right? I never say any of us are born to be a real estate agent, right? We kind of fall into it. You know, our backgrounds are always, you know, it's always interesting to me what backgrounds people come from, how they get in the business. So it's kind of, it's been kind of interesting. So how old were you when you moved here from Poland?
I was 2 years old. I was 2.
Okay. You been back?
Just once.
Really?
Yeah, when I was young, everybody that's gone back said, you have to go back. It's gorgeous. So that's actually, talking to my wife, that's one of the things that we definitely want to do.
Yeah, that's one of the things on my bucket list. You know, hey, listen, I'm no, you know, I'm Polish myself, and you know, it's people. What's interesting is having a Polish last name. You always get people that call and say, "Hey, do you speak Polish?" You know, I always get people who call and say, "Do you speak Polish?" And I wish my parents would have taught me when I was younger, but they always said, "No, we're not going to teach you because it's the only thing we can fight in, and you don't understand what me and your dad are talking about." You know?
That's great.
I really regret that today, but it would have been a great asset to know both languages. Do you speak both?
I do. So in my family, my mom and dad, I mean, they spoke nothing but Polish. So my brothers and sisters, that's how we communicated in our house, all the way until, you know, they passed away. They never really grasped the English language. So for me, that was a benefit. As a young kid, they sent me to Polish school, even though I wanted to play with my friends on Saturday morning and watch Saturday morning cartoons. You know, I went off to Polish school, which I hated at the time, but today, you know, it worked out for me.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? You hate things at the time in life, but then all of a sudden later on down the road, you go, oh, there was a purpose for that, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it happens in a lot of areas in our life. Hey, Slav, so talk a little bit about your business and just the real estate business, the market. What's going on these days?
Well, interesting about the real estate market, everybody noticing it is making a shift right now. For the last couple of years, it was just a frenzy, especially for the buyers. I've really felt bad for my buying clients because with such a shortage of inventory here in this western suburbs, we were down 40% from last year, which last year was a low, and a total of 70% reduction in inventory from 2 years ago. So it kind of gives you a snapshot of what's going on. Now you add interest rates at the time, which were around 3%, which brought in a lot of first-time home buyers who maybe in the past were not able to afford a home. And next thing you know, you have people fighting over properties. And we had so many multiple offer situations, buyers waiving appraisals just to have them their offer considered. Some buyers were even waiving home inspections, which I could never recommend doing. So it was a very interesting market. And next thing you know, interest rates came up, inventory starting to come up. So for some buyers, change in 3% from 3 to 6% could mean that their monthly payment could be up, $300, $400, $500 a month more. Then you add in, the higher cost of gas right now, groceries. And so we did lose some buyers in the mix. However, we still, even though inventory is going up, we're still a little bit of shortage. But what's happening now, some people are panicking, but actually this is kind of a normal market, how it was a few years ago. But some people, number one, they weren't aware of that. And number two, some people just forgot. But generally this time of year, 2, 3, 4 years ago, it starts slowing down just because families start doing their last minute vacations. They start getting their kids ready for school. And so looking for homes generally starts declining, and then it starts picking up again in September.
So are you a buyer's agent or a seller's agent?
I do both. I have a pretty strong equal mix, about 50-50. I enjoy working with both.
Okay, nice. I got in the real estate business in the early 90s. And when I first went in the business, interest rates were 17%. Right. And I always remember this comment. I asked a guy in the business when I first started in this Century 21 office way back when. I said, "What's the market like?" He goes, "The market is so busy that houses are selling while the signs in the front yard are still vibrating from the installation."
Sure.
At 17%. And I find it kind of surprising today that buyers are saying, well, interest rates are high. Relatively speaking, they're still lower than they've been historically.
Exactly. People don't remember how it was. Our first home was at 13%. Yeah. Then when we refinanced for, I think it was 9%. I mean, we were so happy. Yeah. So again, I tell my clients, keep in perspective. Look at what you're paying on interest on your credit cards, what you're paying on interest on your car loans. Even at 6%, it is historically low, and it's a good value, especially investing in real estate.
I remember seeing a chart over the last couple of months that showed that the average interest rate in this country over the course of the last 30 years has been 8%, with the ups and the downs. So if it's 8% is the average over 30 years, we're still lower than that.
Exactly. Sure.
Right. So, maybe you just can't buy as much as you wanted to buy right now, right?
Right. So what I'm seeing is when the interest rates were 3%, home buyers were willing to compromise. They wanted to lock into that 3%. So even if the home wasn't perfect, they're like, you know what, at this rate, at this monthly payment, let's grab it. But now that their monthly payment is higher, the ones that are still engaged in buying, they're a little pickier because their monthly payment is going to be higher. They want the home that they choose to fit their important needs.
Yeah, for sure. So we have a listener who is asking if you're investor friendly.
Investor friendly as far as working with people looking in investment properties to flip? Yes, absolutely.
Great. So there's your answer to that question, Doctor. And we put Slav's information up there. So reach out to him and see how he might be able to help you with that. So are you seeing more sellers with houses on the market for a longer period of time today?
Yeah, very interesting. One of the things I talked about, what I do is I do probably several live Facebook feeds a week. Okay. Every time something comes up in the real estate market or with my clients, I like to share it. And one of the things I've been seeing is some homes showing price reductions, which we haven't seen before. And I'm starting to see home to close contingencies again, which were just non-existent for a couple of years. So that's showing a little bit of a shift. What's important for sellers when I have my listing appointment right now is a year ago, we could really push that price. So if we're looking at the comparables, and for instance, if the shows of similar homes were selling for $400,000, there was no problem with pushing it to $450,000 just to test it out, just because how crazy the market was. Because many times with multiple offer situations, homes are selling for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over list. Yeah. But now it's so important to price the home right where the market is to get it sold quickly. And that's what you want to do, is get it sold as quickly as possible.
Yeah, for sure. Are you seeing, speaking of investor business, are you seeing a lot of investor business these days, or has that backed off?
That's backed off a little bit. I think it was the strongest recently, maybe about 2 years ago, but I'm still seeing a little bit of it.
Okay. What's interesting is I'm on the apartment side, right? So I buy and syndicate apartment complexes, and what we were seeing 6 months ago, where earnest money was going hard day one, and I'm not seeing that as much today. Where you put an LOI in and your earnest money can, it's kind of relaxing a lot because people know the market's changed, and
Sure.
it's a little bit different. I've seen people walk away from deals and leave money on the table because the interest rates changed and now the deal didn't pencil as much anymore. So, I think that from that investment perspective, you really have to take a little bit more of a conservative approach in the world, and a conservative approach from how you are looking at things. So
Sure.
I see Michelle who put a comment in the comments this morning. Hey, Michelle, what area are you from again? She's saying that she's seen big price reductions in her area as well. So it's interesting when people chime in and we hear things from other parts of the country or other areas, what's going on. So Slav, where prediction wise, what do you think over the next 18, 24 months we're going to see happen? How long are we in this recessionary period for?
Sure. Great question. All the analysts I'm looking at, all on the same page, what they're expecting is the home values to increase every year for the next 5 years, but at a more modest rate of about 2 to 3% per year, rather than the 10 to 15% that we've experienced over the last couple of years. To me, that's a healthier market. There's no way we were going to be able to sustain those kind of gains. And that's why we're seeing price reductions. However, people are panicking when they see that. But the truth is, if you compare what that home's going to sell for this year, it is still going to be most likely higher than it was last year.
Yeah. How about length of time? I mean, those prices are going to go up over the next few years. Do you think that we're going to see length of time of houses being on the market again extended?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So it was very common for homes, even those that needed some updating, to be sold within a week, which now is going to change. We're going to go back to the normal of a market time of anywhere from 30 to 90 days, depending on where the home is priced, and what kind of condition it's in.
Yeah. Hey, so Michelle, who made the comment about price reductions in her area, said that she's in Montana, but she's asking a question: what phase of the real estate cycle do you think that we're in right now?
I think we're in an adjustment, but we're kind of leveling off right now. We've peaked, and I think it's just going to stay level for next couple of years.
Yeah. So you got in the market, you got in the business after 2008, after the world went to hell in a handbasket, right?
Correct. However, like I said, I started working with the marketing with that one agent, which was in 2008.
Yeah. So, I hear a lot of people say, oh, this is, the world's going to fall apart again. Do you believe it's going to be that bad?
No, the situation is completely different. Back then, the reason why all these home values started increasing was a lot of bad loans given out, loans that shouldn't have been given out, which in turn caused the recession. Right now, this is strictly a supply and demand situation. So nobody expects to see the same type of crash, even though some media outlets love to promote drama and scare people, but that's just not the case.
I love what you said. I always say that as soon as the media gets a hold of the Fed report at the end of the month, they're going to be like a dog with a bone in its mouth. And
exactly.
We're in this thing. I honestly believe, and some of the people in my world think that we got a 36-month ride on this thing now, and I believe I don't think that we're going to see come out of the sand until, after the election anyhow. So, we're getting into that phase of the environment, right? So
Sure.
typical phase. So what, what should the investor, let's talk about investors a little bit. What should an investor be looking at, or can an investor maybe anticipate that they're going to see come up in the market here on the residential side in the next few months?
Sure. I think we're going to start seeing more investment opportunities, basically because in the last couple of years, home sellers were able to put their home on the market that really needed attention, but we're getting premium prices for, which was not, investment friendly. Now, those sellers that aren't willing to put the work into the home to update it, well, they're going to be looking at more reasonable selling price than they were before, and which will be, perfect for investors.
What about and I don't know if you have any experience with this, but the short sale business or the foreclosure side, you seeing an increase in any of that right now?
Not yet, but I'm always present for every appraisal for my sellers, and the appraisers that I'm talking to, they have been beginning to train them for foreclosure and short sale situations. So obviously it's something that's on their mind. Whether it happens or not, it's hard to say yet, predict, but it's a possibility.
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned something early on when you gave your intro about coaching. What's are you still being coached, or was that a short-term deal for you?
Oh no, I strongly believe in coaching because in order to help, no matter what business you're in, to help them to the best of your ability, you have to grow as well, right? Because otherwise you plateau and what you offer doesn't increase. So definitely this November, I've enrolled into the Ninja Art of Selling, which is all about relationships to further my career and further my understanding to build stronger relationships in this business. Definitely worthwhile. The way I look at it, the time and whatever your financial investment, if you could walk away from one great idea that could be a game changer, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I've had a coach in my life for 20 years, and I've always said, especially when I was selling real estate, that my business increased year after year, 20% because I had a coach. Somebody who taught me scripts and dialogues, how to handle, seller objections. I was a listing agent, so I sold 125 listings a year and gave my buyer business away.
Wow, fantastic.
But I could leverage my time, right? So I knew if I had 25 listings, if I carried 25 to 30 listings, I'd come in on Monday morning, I'd have 5 or 6 sales, and I took the weekends off. So,
Sure.
it was a very predictable business because I had a coach that helped me build a model that was very predictable.
Sure.
And then I went into the crazy world of apartments, and, it's been a ride ever since. So, yeah, I believe in coaching and not because I'm a coach and that's what I do as my core business, but because, I don't believe any of us grow professionally until we grow personally. And we always have areas in our life that we can grow personally in.
Perfectly said. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. Hey, any last comments or thoughts this morning? Time blows by on these, doesn't it?
It sure does. I definitely appreciate this opportunity. As far as real estate, don't panic. We are just getting back to the way it was a few years ago, which is a normal market. It's still going to be swayed a little bit towards the seller until inventory increases. However, it's just not that frenzy of a crazy market as it was recently.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback on what you said, whatever industry you're in or whatever you're doing in your life, a coach will help you see what you can't see where you're at. And that's the key to growing, financially, personally, and in business.
Great. A couple last questions. Let's keep it Chicago specific. Best tourist attraction.
Oh, best tourist attraction. I mean, I always love going down to Navy Pier or the Magnificent Mile. So many great restaurants and Millennium Park. You can't beat that.
And then second question is, what's your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurants, I have two of them here right in downtown Downers Grove. One is Foxtail, just incredible food and service, and Pierce Tavern as well. Just a fun place to be.
Okay, nice. Good. All right. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on this morning. I appreciate your insight, your input. Appreciate Keith for hooking us up. And, like I said to Keith, if you know anybody else who'd be a great guest on Thursday Morning Live, let me know, connect us. It'd be awesome. But I'm going to move you to the back room, say goodbye. If you hang out with me for a couple minutes, I'll be right there.
All right. Thank you very much again.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, everybody. Great show this morning. And if you want to connect with Slav, his phone number is 630-624-9615. Reach out if you are an investor looking for investments in the area, DuPage County or anywhere in the Chicagoland market. Give him a call. Want to thank you again for being here this morning. Remember, coming up August 18th, full day virtual boot camp online. Property management. You know what? It's one of those things in the real estate business that is just not sexy, right? People don't talk about it, but it is where we get really where we create revenue, where we create value. So if you are interested in attending that full day event, either to get a shot in the arm or learn what you need to learn, my website at mycoreintentions.com. Go there, register. I look forward to seeing you at the boot camp. If you have questions or anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out. Send me an email, and we'll get on the calendar. I hope you have a great week, everybody. Look forward to seeing